All right, so to take a look at the preparations for the elections, what do we expect from INEC? How far have we gone? What kind of loose ends do we need to sort out? We've got, to start with, Mr. Onyekpere, who is the lead director for social justice. He joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, let's get your impressions about the preparations you've seen INEC put in place so far. Yes, we know they have meetings with political parties, the CSOs, the CBOs, in terms of what they've done, how far they've gone. Are you of the opinion that so far it's so good?
Well, very well. I will say that INEC has started well through all the processes you've listed, meetings with political parties, civil society organizations, and with stakeholders, and of course the meeting they held with ASU. But there appears to be some very loose ends, which INEC needs to tie up before the elections. We are all witnesses to the fact that maybe they got their resources late with all the going back and forth between the National Assembly and the presidency. And finally now everything seems to be in place. But a few things need to be tied up, and these include issues around determining what exactly will be done in terms of procedure for the elections. We've had challenges with the card reader in the last elections, especially when the matter went up before the courts. And these were things that were supposed to be tied up by the new Electoral Act bill, which the president refused to assent to. Even though INEC has authority under Section 52 of the Electoral Act as amended to determine the procedures they have to use at the election, but it will still come up, these challenges will still come up before the courts, because at the end of the day, you still have to take into cognizance Section 138(2) of the Electoral Act, which talks about any act or omission by any of the officials of the Commission in organizing the elections, which may be contrary to a directive or instruction issued by INEC in any of its guidelines and manuals, may not be a ground for you to question the election if it contradicts, or if it does not contradict any of the provisions of the Electoral Act itself. So we still have this issue of between the manual voters register and the card reader, which will take precedence at the end of the day when these things goes up to the courts. And there's also the second issue of the voting point settlements, which is just coming up. We had is going to be limited only to Abuja. And you begin to ask yourself, on what basis will these settlements be made? Because at the end of the day, you find out that it is not only in the Federal Capital Territory where you've had people settle. And this is a statutory process that should have involved the National Boundary Commission, the National Assembly, political parties, and other stakeholders. And we are doing, INEC is trying to do this very, very close to the election, less than 2 months to the election. So it's going to be a big challenge. It's going to create some confusion. And if you remember, the president did say, as part of his reasons for refusing to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, that there will be confusion and uncertainty. And then people will question, why are you not creating this across the whole federation, in other geopolitical zones, in other states, while limiting it to only the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja?
All right, so quite a number of issues you've raised there. So let's see if we can take them one after the other. We'll have Mr. Festus Okoye, who is a National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC. He joins us on the line this morning. Good morning, Mr. Okoye, and thank you for joining us. Well, concerning the card reader and the manual process, which we just had Mr. Onyekpere raise some concerns, what is the position now? Because he thinks that, look, this matter may still become a subject of litigation at the end of the day.
Well, the issue is you cannot foreclose the issue that goes before the court in terms of election petitions. But the truth of the matter is that in terms of the procedure for the Independent National Electoral Commission in relation to this particular election, the card reader will be used for this election. The confusion has always been interpreting the place of the card reader within the electoral process. The issues that went before the court had nothing to do with either the legality or otherwise of the use of the card reader. The Supreme Court has said that the card reader is a very good innovation introduced by the Independent National Electoral Commission for purposes of giving credibility to the electoral process. And that the functions of the card reader are limited to one, making sure that the card itself was issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission, and two, making sure that the person who is in possession of the card is the person that was actually registered by the Independent National Electoral Commission, and three, to limit the issue of multiple voting. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission is going to use the voters register as the base of the electoral process, in which case any person who goes to the polling unit on election day will present himself or herself to the presiding officer, who will take the voters register to be sure that the person's name is on the voters register, and then the presiding officer will also be sure that the card that has been brought to the polling unit is a card that was issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission, and also to verify that the person's biometrics conforms to what we have in the smart card reader. So the smart card reader can be used in a dual capacity with the manual accreditation process. Now, the challenge is when you go to the election tribunal and you want to prove overvoting, the Supreme Court has said that the manner of proving overvoting is completely different from the uses to which people want to put the card reader to. That if you want to prove overvoting in an election, you will not only tender the data from the card reader, you will also tender the voters register, which is the base of the electoral process. You will tender all the forms that were used, and then you can also supplement with the data from the card reader. If you go and tender the data from the card reader alone to prove overvoting, that you cannot prove it in that respect.
Okay.
So we are going to have what I call a duality in terms of the manual process and the use of the smart card reader in the electoral process. That's exactly what we're going to do.
So in terms of operationalization of the card reader, now part of the concerns that some also raise is, at what point does INEC determine, or at what point does it become an offense if someone comes with a card reader that is not his after it has gone through the processes from INEC on the day of elections now?
If somebody comes with a voter card that does not belong to you, is that the question?
Yes.
Now it is an offense, one, for you to have two permanent voter cards. Two, it's also an offense for you to approach any of the presiding officers with a permanent voter card does not belong to you. These are all electoral offenses. And at that moment, the moment you approach an electoral presiding officer with a permanent voter card that does not belong to you, at that moment, the presiding officer ought to order for your arrest, ought to ask the police to arrest you, because it is a criminal offense, it's an electoral offense. You know, so I think that the Nigerian public should be aware, and the voters should be aware that it is an offense.
Okay, I get that point, but what I'm asking is, at what point, because you know, when you come with your card is going to go through certain processes before you're then cleared to go and vote, assuming the card is correct. But when it's not, at what point, at what stage does INEC then call in the police?
There are two issues involved here. Now, if you get to the polling unit with a permanent voter's card and your name is on the voter's register, then the names on the permanent voter's card conforms to your own name. Then there are issues with your biometrics. That means there are issues. It does not necessarily mean that the voter's card with you is fake or it is killed. But if your name is not on the voter's register, your name is not on the permanent voter's card that you have come to the polling unit with. The implication is that you procured it from elsewhere, and it becomes an offense, because for you to hold a permanent voter's card, you must have been registered as a voter, and your name must appear on the voter's register, and your name must also appear on the permanent voter's card, and the smart card reader should be in a position to also read your biometrics if the card belongs to you.
The way it is now, I mean, I know that INEC has said there will be no use of incident forms, which for some reason the PDP still harping on that, saying a thing or two. Now, when one gets to the polling center or unit with his or her card, and then it turns out that there's some sort of malfunction as they had the last time, and they are not able to vote with the card. What did INEC say was going to happen, and what do we expect on that day?
Now the smart card reader is an electronic device, and as with everything that is operated by the humans, there's a possibility that there may be a challenge with the smart card reader at any point in time. So what we have done is that we have RACTEC. We have technical assistance in all the works or registration areas who can intervene the moment there's a challenge with the smart card reader. Now, what we are saying and what the Commission is saying is that when a voter gets to the polling unit with a permanent voter's card, and the presiding officer checks the permanent voter's card and confirms that checks the permanent voter's card and checks the voter's register, and confirms that the person who is bearing the permanent voter's card is the person whose name is on the voter's register. And then the smart card reader verifies that the permanent voter's card belongs to the holder of it was issued by this Independent National Electoral Commission. But the smart card reader is unable to read the biometrics of the voter. But every other information relating to the voter is correct in terms of the voter's register and also in terms of the VIN number and every other information. That's what the presiding officer should do at that point. Since every other information is correct, the only thing that is challenging is the biometrics of the voter. That the presiding officer should get the voter to thumbprint against